You are about to watch an investigation into the unique qualities of those who probe the limitless possibilities of the human imagination in dance, painting, sculpture, architecture, music, and drama. It is the search for the originals in art. These specially commissioned television portraits are presented by Moses Znaimer.
Philip Glass found his vocation in music early and stopped worrying about a lot of things that other people worry about.
The process of writing and playing and thinking and conceptualizing, creating and playing was there from the beginning. I thought I was successful when I was 30 because I was doing what I wanted to do. The fact that I wasn't making a living was rather minor, absolutely minor compared to all to the things that were actually happening.
Philip Glass became a controversial figure at a very early age by refusing to go along with what was considered avant-garde. What angered his critics, and still does, was that he did not go back to anything traditional, but to something entirely different. Music with repetitive structures, rhythmic, busy and tonal, which have created an enthusiastic public. With those of like musical mind, he has written operas around contemporary social themes such as nonviolence. He thinks change comes through ideas and that violence is an effort to stop change and stifle creativity. But as for his art, he feels he has simply been responding to whatever aroused his curiosity, and having children has been very much a part of that.
Growing up with children is a very important, I really think that the direction that the work that I was doing took in the 80s and 90s had a lot to do with the children. I got interested in social issues. I got interested in Gandhi. I got interested in how does the world change? How does society change? How does it evolve or devolve? What's that about? And I got interested in that one because I was involved with raising children and educating them, getting involved with their education and seeing what is this world they're living in? Is this the world I want them to live in, or is there anything we can do about it? And I thought about that. And operas like Satyagraha was really about, the whole first trilogy is really about social change through nonviolence. The idea is how does change really take place? And my conclusion was that that change takes place through ideas. That violence is not actually an engine of change, it's actually an engine of non-change. It's a way of things not changing. It's a way of putting things back to the way they were. Violence is a form of failure, obviously. When things become violent, then it's a failure of negotiation, between of understanding, of communication. So violence is the opposite of change. It's the opposite of creativity. So that's how I began to see it that way. And I'm sure that I began to look at it because I was thinking about children. How are they educated? Who are they with? What kind of world do they live in? How can I relate to them? What's happening between us? Someone asked me once why they got writing music, and I said very spontaneously, I think this is probably close to being true. I was curious about where music came from. And where does it come from? Because for the first, maybe 10 years or so, I was just playing music, or I didn't question it very much. It was just what was put in front of me or what I heard. Then when I got into the question of where does the music actually come from, then I began to write music. And writing music was partly trying to find the answer to that question. So it's about curiosity in the same way that now, in this point, I have various projects with different people. And I usually try to arrange a situation where there are a lot of unknowns. Well, I try to put myself in a situation where I really don't know how to do it. And that's usually what stimulates me to resolve the problem or to make the piece. And that's a kind of curiosity, too, about the language of music. The language of music really isn't static. We think of it as, it's always, I mean, the present is always just all the music, all the technique, all the language that we know up till now. But it's the music we haven't heard, and the language that we don't know. By language, I mean the actual harmony, the actual technique, the actual rhythmic structure, those kinds of things. Those things are, it's those unknown aspects of it that are interesting. It's not really a question of moving in one direction. I tend to set up a field of activity that has, let's say, different borders and horizons. I tend to work in different ones. If I do one piece and someone said, oh, you're moving in a new direction, yes, but only in that piece. You know, I might be 180 degrees the other way, because what I'm interested in is the border, these border areas between what we know and what we don't know, between different art forms, between different people, the meeting places where you meet along the edge, meeting on the edge. That's the name of one of the pieces I did with Ravi Shankar, by the way. It's called Meetings on the Edge, and that's what the title of that piece means. It means that's his edge and my edge is where we met. That's where most meetings take place, by the way, in case you hadn't noticed. Very hard to meet in the center, but the meetings take place on the edge, and that's what we look for. That's what we're looking for. The beast tells Beauty, he says that everything I have is here by magic, and the magic comes from 5 elements: the horse, the key, the glove, the mirror, and the rose. And these are the 5 elements. And the horse represents strength and determination, and the key represents technique. The rose represents beauty. The mirror represents transcendence, and the glove represents nobility, which is kind of the estate of how he thought of the artist. And the element that's missing, and with all these things, is still in the body of the beast, and it's only the element of love, when it finally arrives in the form of Lebel, that he can become transformed. So that is it. That's what he's saying. He's saying this is what you need. This is what is required for the process of transformation to take place: strength, determination, vision, technique, love, all these things. When you think of it, that's actually very profound. And how many people are going to tell you that? You can go to music school for 20 years and no one will tell you that. I was very lucky because music I discovered it very early. As I say, it made its mark on me very early. And the language of music became my language. So I didn't ever have the kind of identity crisis that people have about what they're going to do. what they're going to do when they grow up. I was already doing what I was doing then, what I'm doing now. I was playing music. I began writing music when I was 15, which isn't that early, but isn't that late either. But I was playing music, which I'm still doing. I'm still performing. I was performing with an orchestra when I was 10. You know, I was playing with other musicians when I was a very early age. So that was very lucky in a way. I think people for whom their work is a vocation simply don't have a lot of the kind of anxieties that young people and even middle-aged people and older people have about what are they doing, what kind of activities they're doing that will nourish them. So that didn't happen for me. I was always going in that way. Doing the solo concerts is partly a way of recreating a very essential musical experience, which is the composer playing for the audience. And the most essential experience I can think of as a composer is you sitting down and playing music for somebody else. It can be for just you or for 10 people or 1,000 people. It really doesn't matter in a certain way. As a composer, if I lose that connection, then part of the whole cycle of creativity to me has become short-circuited in a way. For me, if I can describe the whole cycle, it's having the idea of the piece, writing the piece, and then actually communicating the piece to other human beings, which comes in the performance. So the conception, the actual creation and the performance to me is the complete cycle. When I play with the ensemble, which I've done quite a lot, I'm then with a group of 7 people. So my role in terms of the work is kind of diffused in a way. It's not really just me. I'm hiding in a way behind all the other people or with the other people. Or we're hiding together. We've merged our individualities into this group ensemble. When I'm playing by myself, I'm on the stage and I go out, if I'm at Carnegie Hall or Macy Hall or wherever I'm playing. Or a little place, maybe like the Knitting Factory here in New York. I did 20 concerts here this spring at the Knitting Factory. Was it 20? No, I'm sorry, it was 10. I did 2 a night for 5 nights. It was 10 performances. And there's a moment when you come out and you sit down on the stage and the audience is there and I'm there and the piano's there and that's it. There's no even amplifiers, there's nothing. That's it. to do with relating to that younger generation. Very important to do. It's important not only for them, it's important for me. They think I'm doing it for them. It's true. But I'm actually doing it for me. You know, it has the effect of benefiting them, which of course is wonderful. But I'm very aware of the fact that that I get a lot out of doing that. Otherwise, I say you get stuck with the people the people you went to high school with. You know, oh good Lord, I know everyone say, oh no, but that's what we do. Look around, look at your friends, and see who they are, and what age they are. Do you have friends that are 20 and 30 and 40 and 50 and 60 and 70? At one point, I was working with Doris Lessing, who was in her 70s, with Laurie Anderson. At that point, she was in her 40s, and with another person who was a younger woman. Oh yeah, Ann Carlson, who was in her 30s. There was a woman in 30, 40, 70. I thought, well, that's good. 3 women, 3 different generations, very different women. And I had very good working relationships with these people. Laurie and I were making little pieces together to do for a benefit concert. Ann Carlson and I were working on Hydrogen Jukebox, and Doris and I were making an opera. And I've sometimes had the pleasure of introducing these people to each other, you know, so that when Doris was here, she would meet some other people. And I got to introduce Doris to Allen Ginsberg, and they became friends. They know when Doris comes, I'll have Allen over, and they have dinner. It's great. You know, I can watch these. I mean, these are 2 of the most, in my mind, important writers of our time. And they're sitting at my kitchen table talking about poetry or music or art or whatever they talk about, politics. It's fun. But, of course, other people, they're the same generation, so that can work too. Making music, as far as I can tell, has almost no negatives to it. It's all positives. It's remarkable, isn't it? It benefits me, it benefits other people. It makes me younger, it makes them younger. It helps people make a living. I can't think of anything, I've never been able to think of anything negative about what I do. So that's quite remarkable. I've been very lucky. I mean, if I had been a doctor even, which you say, well, that's good, you're helping a lot of people, but then doctors, sometimes you lose people too, or maybe you have to make a choice, which person am I going to help? Who gets the kidney? Who gets, you know, not everyone can be treated the same way. Or do I work with people with money or people without money? Or, I mean, so they have, I'm sure that comes up, or with teachers, or how do you spend enough time with all the people you want to? You know, or you, I think the thing about making art is that whether it's sculpture or music or writing like Doris or Allen Ginsberg, has tremendous positive aspects to it that impacts on ourselves and on everybody else. I have piles of music and I forget to date them. I don't put dates on them. I don't know when I wrote them. I've lost manuscripts. I have no feeling for that at all. I'm completely actually free of any idea of history or the work living past me. I know that my copyrights will belong to my children. I've talked with Casey about that before. And because it's my children, I'm interested in that, but I don't care at all. Not at all. Not interested. When I die, you can take all the music I wrote and put it in the grave with me. It wouldn't change my way of working at all. I would not have one moment of anxiety about it. And I think that's great too. I'm free of that. I don't have to worry about history. Who cares?
Philip Glass has lived with music from a very early age and has performed with others since he was 10 in a great musical environment, New York City. He believes that as a composer, the circle is only complete when he has played his music for an audience. What all that ensures is that Philip Glass's meeting on the edge of the kind of contemporary relevance that has made him an original in art.